Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of In Conversation by Advisorkhoj. Today, in conversation, yet again, we have Mr. Sorbh Gupta, Head of Equity with Bajaj Finserv Mutual Fund with us today. Welcome, Sorbh, once again, and a very warm welcome to you to In Conversation by Advisorkhoj.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me again.
Always our pleasure. It's so wonderful to listen to your thoughts around the markets, and there's always so much to learn, from what you enrich all of us and our viewers always through these video podcasts. So, Saurabh, Bajaj Finserv Mutual Fund has launched their new fund offer of Bajaj Finserv Banking and Financial Services Fund. It opened on the 10th of November and closing on the 24th of November. So, could you tell our viewers more about this fund as to what this Banking and Financial Services Fund is all about? More in detail, and of course, why a Banking and Financial Services Fund at this point in time?
Sure. So, to start with, let me go back to our first fund, which was the Bajaj Finserv Flexi Cap Fund, where we talked about investing in mega trends. Clearly, BFSI segment in India represent a very strong mega trend around us. Now, let me break it up for you. Let me break it up in four parts. How BFSI represents Flexi Cap. One thing that is represented by BFSI is Aspire More. Now we have set of companies which is funding the aspirations of Indians. Now, if you step into a Vijay sales nowadays, you will never see MRP price tags. You will only see EMI price tags
Hmm.
because somebody is ready to fund your aspiration.
Hmm.
Because India is an aspirational society. From a 50-inch TV, you want to move to a 70-inch TV, and definitely youngsters don't necessarily want to wait, save, and then do that purchase, but they want to do it now. So
Mm-hmm.
there are a set of companies which are benefiting from that aspirational India, and there is a lot of headroom of growth available for those companies. While we have seen these companies deliver fantastic returns in last 5, 7, 10 years, but if I look at comparable data in developed market and some of the emerging markets, we are still very less leveraged as a household. And we believe that the way consumption is, where the society is getting aspirational, this there is a long mega trend opening up or playing out in these segments. So this is one mega trend in the BFSI segment that is playing out, and we'll be kind of betting on that. That is one. Second is protect better. Now, India as a society, if you look at premium that India pays, insurance premium, life insurance premium divided by the GDP, it is one
Mm-hmm.
of the highest in the world. But
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the protection divided by GDP, that is the coverage divided by GDP, we are one of the lowest. Essentially, this is because historically insurance policies have been sold as savings product and not a protection product. Now there is a realization that it's a protection product, and companies which are doing this, selling them as more of a protection product, and since we are undercovered, there is a huge headroom for growth in the life part, protect the
Mm-hmm.
life part.
That's true.
And second comes the general insurance part, where health and auto still are growing, but a lot of these are we are not even scratching the surface. Because as a society, we are still moving from a low income society to a middle income society. So first of all, you take care of your basic needs and then you create assets. Once you create assets, then you think about protecting it. We are now at 25, $26, $600 per capita income. As we move forward, we'll have more saving pool, we'll invest more, we'll create assets more as houses, cars, and other things.
Mm.
And then we will think about protecting them. Huge runway of growth for the general insurance as well. So that is the protect better mega trend that we'll be betting on, and BFSI represents beautifully that. The third is invest better. Now, if you look at the investment landscape 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago, primarily there were three or four opportunities for investment for people. With people love opportunities were there, but people were not open to them. One was endowment insurance policies, bank FDs, bank saving account, PPF, post office. Now, slowly, as people are learning in terms of what returns can be and what is asset allocation and all those things, people are moving towards equities, mutual funds, ULIPs kind of products, and EF, for an HNI segment, there is an AIF product. Now we have an SIF product. So
Mm.
all this basket again we are still very, very nascent. If you look at the wealth firms in India, of terms of assets they manage, they're very, very small compared to the global peers. Because as the society gets prosperous, they will save more, and they will try to find out more ways of getting better returns from their investments. As they learn, they understand, and that opens up a huge door for companies like platform businesses like stock exchanges or commodity exchanges, or maybe a registration kind of companies like which have mutual fund registration companies, or even for that matter mutual fund companies. All those things we are very less penetrated and offer huge opportunity of growth for these companies that open demat accounts, companies that offer brokering platforms. So this is also a huge megatrend that should play out within the BFSI, and that we are betting on. Fourth, very fast growing, less number of listed companies right now is transact easier.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an example, I was in Mumbai yesterday, day before yesterday, and I went to South Bombay to have dinner with a friend. And when I stepped out, there was a person, a kind of person who was asking for help, and he had a QR code for the arms that he was asking for. So that is how India has adopted that transact easy part.
Mm.
Good part in India is free right now, but slowly the whole society is moving beyond chutta paisa to QR codes. That's what the
Mm.
fact is. That opens a huge ecosystem. There's a multifold difference in that. One is that whenever it gets paid at whatever level, that creates a lot of opportunity, definitely. Then you have credit cards that is still very, very nascent, very small in India. That opens a huge opportunity. Debit cards are there. And because of all of this, the data that get created, the lending or the borrowing for people that changes. For example, a Kirana store, maybe 10 years ago, they had no proof how much sales does he does to get a loan. Now, because his 70-80% of his sales are now on UPI, he has a track record of how much sales is he doing. So it is much easier for him to get a bank loan rather than going for a Sahukar type of loan. All those things, wherever these companies are operating, these companies are going to benefit long big time over the next 5-10 years because of this transact easy mega trend.
Mm.
So
Very
these
true.
four mega trends we will be betting on in this fund, and we think that over the longer period of time, this whole segment, because of the opportunities that it offers, should do very well for investors.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree because, if you come to think of it, while you were explaining this so deeply, is that in the last 2 decades, and particularly if you look at the last decade, the definition of BFSI has completely broadened structurally, so to speak. Like all the insurance, asset management, investment, banks, NBFCs, credit cards, all that stuff. And so, do you believe that it will continue to broaden going forward and getting deeper at the same time when we look at how the BFSI sector will shape up? And are you convinced with the valuation part of the BFSI sector as we speak?
So let me take the valuation part first. Now let us look at the banking part of it, which is the largest piece as of now of the within the BFSI. Now, if I look at banks, banks, there are not many at sector level. There are not many sectors in India right now which are trading at lower the historical valuations. Banking is one of them. Even if I look at the peer group valuations, peer sector valuations, banking is very attractively valued. So at least from a banking piece perspective, if I look at valuation of banks, they are very attractively valued vis-a-vis history and vis-a-vis peer sectors. So valuation comfort clearly is there. If I look at other sectors, for example, insurance, what has happened is that in the near term, there's a possibility that they might take a bit of a knock because of the their inability to pass the input credit which they used to get in
Mm.
terms of higher prices. They may
Hmm.
be able to do it next year. So there could be a near-term possible correction in these stocks when they report numbers because of profitability could be under pressure, and most of them
Hmm.
have reduced guidance. I think this is a huge opportunity for people to look at these companies which are traded at good valuations because of the kind of growth they offer over longer period of time. The valuations have been rich most of the time. This is a right time where you get an opportunity to invest in these businesses because near term quarter or second two quarter numbers could not be that great, and there are enough participants who focus on a quarter earnings and don't look at longer perspective. For people who are looking at longer perspective, this is the right time to invest in these companies.
Right.
The
Right.
next 2 quarters can offer you good opportunity to invest in these companies. If I talk about the capital markets part, or the part of I told about invest wisely wala part, there I think we have to be careful on valuations, definitely. So there I think valuation is something we have to be choosy. We have might have to wait for our stock price in terms of whenever it becomes attractive, and then we have to invest. There could be one or two pockets where valuation is good, but there we have to wait it out. The fourth segment, transact easier, is an evolving sector. Not many companies are listed, but we will be waiting for them. And we few companies which are listed, if we find them attractive, we'll go ahead and invest in them. So that's
Sure.
how the ecosystem is on valuations right now.
Sure. Sure. So tell me something. Yeah, when we look at the entire BFSI sector, particularly, I'm not referring to the DIIs. I'm referring to the FPIs particularly. They have actually found more value in buying in the BFSI sector, though of course they're net negative as we speak. But if you were to dissect from the sector perspective, so do you believe that that trend will continue with them?
BFSI as a sector has the highest weight in benchmarks, most of the benchmarks.
Hmm.
And for some good reasons, the largest of India's banks have also very large free floats. There are two or three, most lot of entities do not have founders or promoters, so their free float is higher, hence their weight in the benchmarks are high and their market caps are bigger, so they attract a lot of passive flows.
Sure.
Even if not passive flows, I think BFSI represents a very good play on India's growth story,
Hmm.
essentially.
Hmm.
It is one sector where you can choose what you want to play on. Often at time what happens is that you don't have enough good plays on the sector, so you use BFSI as a proxy to invest on those sectors. For example, maybe you don't have any good plays to play on a high. Uh, you just have one or two players to play on the commercial vehicles in India,
Sure.
but you have two or three good financiers who do financing on commercial vehicles and make generate good ROE, and they are very well managed. So why not play through that?
Hmm.
Secondly, if you look at the business of real estate, now many funds may not find it very comforting to buy into a real estate developer to time the market or pre-sales or how the micro markets will do. It's a detailed research which needs to be done. A good play on them would be to buy into a company or an NBFC or a bank who is heavy on mortgage lending.
Hmm.
So these are banking offers a very good proxy plays on many sectors
Very
like
true. Very true.
electricity, rural,
Hmm.
all of those things. And that is the reason I think the likability or affability of FPIs towards financials are there.
Hmm.
And they
Yeah.
are very highly regulated vis-a-vis other sectors. So there is a comfort of what you are investing into.
Absolutely, very, very, very true. Because and they're so interconnected. When you're looking at a particular economy to generally grow, etc. BFSI is the place to start putting your bets on. So, what will be the style of management of this fund? More flexi in nature for this banking and financial services fund?
Yes, so the regulator does allow us to be flexi cap oriented, and that we will be. I think the opportunities are across large caps, mid caps, and small caps in this sector, and we will use that to the fullest. It will be a growth oriented strategy because megatrends is all about growth. So it's a growth oriented strategy, and it will be flexi cap in nature, and it will be two level flexi cap wherever we find valuation and growth comfort. We'll tilt the portfolio towards that.
Sure. What do you believe could be the elements which could spoil this entire great story within this sector going ahead, if at all any?
Yes, yes, definitely. There are no investments without highlighting the risks, so one should be beware of it. The biggest risk in investing in BFSI is the India risk.
Hmm.
Now, if you go back in history, whenever Indian economy kind of slows down or does not do well in patches, cyclically or whatever you want to read through it, generally BFSI tends to suffer because NPAs are higher, credit costs are low, credit growth is lower, all those things set to happen. So if you ask me, one risk that BFSI faces is if it faces an India risk, because it is a very domestic oriented sector. It is a play on India's nominal GDP, and as India's nominal GDP grows, India becomes third largest, second largest economy in the world. There will be a multiple of growth that will be available for these companies to grow. But if
Yes.
India does not grow, and there is no demographic dividend, and there is faltering and structurally faltering in India's growth, which will not assign a very high probability. In fact, it's a very low probability event. But that's the only risk on BFSI as a sector. Well, definitely one has to be careful on what you are picking, whether you are picking up the right underwriter, right business. That is something that we need to look at. From a sector's perspective, it's the only India risk that you should be aware about and you have to be
Mhm.
careful about.
Sure. Absolutely. So, through this in conversation today, sir, what message would you like to give to all the viewers listening, particularly about your new fund offer of the Banking and Financial Services Fund?
Sure. So if you look at history, and I cannot talk about future returns, but if you look at history, generally, BFSI as a sector, banking as a sector, tends to outperform the broader markets, primarily because it's a levered sector and levered on GDP growth of India, nominal
Mhm.
GDP growth of India. Historically, the credit growth in India has been 1.5 times the GDP growth rate. So other sectors represent the nominal GDP. This by the start is at 1.5 times of GDP in terms of
Mhm.
the growth that it offers, and it has reflected in the returns that you get over in the history. So if we believe that in the next 10, 15 years, India is going its path to a $10,000 or $15,000 per capita income or the third largest economy, BFSI has to play its role and at a higher multiple than the nominal GDP. So it offers a huge growth opportunity. And the four things that I highlighted are clear megatrends that are emerging that one should bet upon. So if you have a diversified equity, addition of a higher growth opportunity should be something that one should look at. So it offers a higher growth opportunity, play on domestic, and a very well regulated sector. So it's a nice sector to be in as an add-on to your diversified equity exposure.
Sure, sure. So, well, for our viewers, this is Mr. Sorbh Gupta, Head of Equity, Bajaj Finserv Mutual Fund, talking about the new fund offer, Bajaj Finserv Banking and Financial Service Fund, which was launched on 10th of November and closing on 24th of November 2025. Saurabh, like I said at earlier, it's always wonderful, to have these wonderful conversations with you because there's so much to learn, through your insight into the markets and your thoughts you say. So thank you very, very much, for joining in today and taking us through, what this BFSI sector is all about and what this new fund offer of yours of Bajaj Finserv Banking and Financial Services is all about. Thank you once again for your time, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for a very set of very insightful questions. Thank you.
Always our pleasure. And just to remind our viewers, please subscribe to our channel for more such wonderful, interesting updates. Thank you very much. Thank you.